Hello and welcome to this, our second Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust video stroke podcast. As we mentioned at the end of episode 1, please check back and have a look at that if you haven't already seen it. Today we're going to have a chat with fellow board member Kevin Fitzgerald. Out of our 10 board members, he was the only one who was successful with his application for North London Derby tickets. Kevin, you lucky guy. But it really couldn't have happened to a nicer man. Welcome, Kev.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the compliment.
No, absolutely. We were all delighted for you.
Really well deserved that I got it then.
What I'm going to do, we're going to sort of take turns in asking you questions because we all want to know how it went and what it was like. Obviously, we all know now that we beat Arsenal 2-0 to go top of the league. And I think that's certainly worth mentioning with two of the best goals we've probably seen this season. But we also want to know what it was like for supporters inside the stadium, how it felt. And so I'll hand over to you, Rachel, to ask whatever you want to hear about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say we're secretly jealous. We're not secretly jealous. We're just totally jealous. Delighted for you, Kevin. I really was delighted. We'd have all loved to have been there. Obviously, it was the North London Derby. What a game to start with. What a result. What a performance. We really just want to know, what was it like?
Right.
What was it like there, Kevin?
Well, I've got a bit of a confession to make. It makes me feel even worse when I hear you saying all these things, because after the initial, feeling like I've won the lottery, what's next? I started thinking, I don't know, 2,000 out of 63,000, that's less than 1/30th. Will the experience be a bit like 1/30th of a North London derby with 63,000 people? And then there was that, we're wearing masks. Voices will be, what's the word, sotto voce? I thought, I don't know. But the moment I started my journey, and this sort of does say something, I think, about what football means to us, that I realised I haven't done this particular journey for a long while. And I normally do it backwards and forwards at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. And all the familiar places, familiar things that have become unfamiliar just begin to get you back. It's like that routine that's almost ritual, really. And it's not because I'm superstitious or anything. It was just, this is it. And then, of course, walking up to the stadium, getting to that point at the corner of Park Lane and Tottenham High Road and that area there, just, it's all new anyway, isn't it? That is, but, it's still something that one's forgotten. So really what I'm getting at is it sort of brought home to me how much what we all love about supporting Spurs or supporting any team, really, the live experience of just that adrenaline rush that one gets from it and the tension that goes with it. Oh, I hope we win and all the rest of it. And that is not there with football behind closed doors that you're watching behind your own closed doors, basically. So that was my overwhelming impression. Obviously, the match itself, I mean, with those goals, you say, what goals to celebrate with? Wouldn't it be carping for me to say they were at the wrong end? Oh, it hit the bar, it's come out, There's not even any VAR doubt about them. They're great goals. So everything about the experience was, it wasn't 1/30th. It wasn't 1 out of 1, it wasn't 63,000. But it brings back that, it evokes the fact that it was like 63,000 because we won the North London Derby. It's just wonderful. So that's my overall impression.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's been, 9 months or something since we've been there. And also, of course, when we were last there, things weren't going so well, were they? It was very, very tense times. And for me, my last game was, I think for you as well, possibly, was Leipzig, just as it was all happening.
Yeah.
A lot's happened since then. One of the things, of course, is the taking the knee. And obviously, we were at the end of the weekend, and there was some very unfortunate responses at a couple of stadia. I know I could see from the television screens, you could actually see the players looking towards the fans when they took the knee. And I could see on Harry Kane's face in particular, you could just see that little, what's going to happen? We were so proud and thrilled with the applause that the taking the knee received. What was it like, and how did that happen, Kevin?
Yeah. Well, see, my two emotions were pride and relief. And you've hit it, haven't you? I mean, I'd even talked to one or two people beforehand, and everyone said, no, Spurs won't do that. You know, the Millwall thing, Spurs won't do that. That won't happen. But I'd seen, I don't want to deem, you know, sort of like to mention his name, but someone on Twitter calling on us to do just that. And it only takes 3 or 4 people and it'd be heard. And when the applause started, the thing that struck me, it wasn't just like the routine applause that you give when the team's announced. It was a very deliberate, conscious act. The guy next to me got up straight away and started clapping like this. It was like it was a message, basically. So it was that, and it was the relief, but the pride most of all. Yeah.
I think we definitely were relieved sitting at home watching it, for sure, I think.
Also,
so,
like I say, yeah, on the way home, on the way home, I had, I don't know, 606, but 606 on. And it was Leon Rossignol and Clinton Morrison. Oh, God, they were so good. But they were so grateful to the Spurs fans. Yeah.
So it's all right, Kevin. So the day obviously must have been very, very different to what it's been like. And going there, you have to remember a lot more to take with you now because of COVID times. Could you talk us through the mechanics of the day and what to remember going?
Well, in a funny sort of way, of course, you sort of take less because you take your phone.
It's all there.
Don't forget your phone. Have it topped up. But, you know, your ticket's on your phone. Your, you know, contactless payments on your phone. And as long as you've got that, you're okay. But first of all, I mean, the health questionnaire, which you have to fill in or it won't activate the ticket, the code of conduct, all of the, you know, about the situation for food and drink and how it will be and all the rest of it. It's invaluable information. I think it sets the tone. It makes people take it seriously. So it has to be read, has to be understood. Something I've gone on about a bit, perhaps it's just me again, you know, as an old crusty old guy. But I was a bit confused when I looked at my digital ticket and it said, and the phrase is, I can't remember the right phrase now, but it just says, you know, entrance from, it's something like entrance from 1500. And I thought, is that my specific time? Is that when the ground opened? And someone's actually got in touch with me this evening and asked me the same about tomorrow. But all I can say to people is take that, what it says, as being the time you should get there. Because half an hour later, they're trying to get the other 50% of the people in. They don't want people still trying to get in from the first lots that came half an hour late. So that means, you get it. Now, when I got to the ground, I would say there were about 5 rows of 15 people. I reckon time it, but I would think I got, this is at ground level, below the steps. I would reckon I got through that, which means they've scanned my ticket in no more than 10 minutes. Walk up the steps, you go through an arch, guy with a wand, and it's like pantomime time, isn't it? Guy with a wand, and from then on, it's 3 or 4 minutes, I'd say. Turnstiles straight through them, and you're in the marketplace. So it was quicker than we're used to, certainly, you know, and going to away matches as fans generally, really. So that was all very, very straightforward. Going in, it's just a case of making sure you're wearing your mask. There were stewards there reminding people, but people were very good signage and footage. You know, the monitors had signs going across reminding everybody of everything. The footprints for access and getting out of where to stand and move forward. I went to the Beavertown bar, got a pint of neck oil and a pie. It's a great formula, that, because I'd been thinking, do I go and get some food? Because I know you can't have a drink without food, but then I've got to queue up for the food. Then it might go cold. But no, you get your pint. Pie was great. So that all worked. Do you want me to carry on with the mechanics?
Well, so you've spoken about sort of getting into the stadium. What about when you were actually in the stadium? It looks quite spread out, to be fair, on the TV. Obviously not you weren't sat in your usual seat, but what was that like? Were people able to sort of move freely if they wanted to other areas?
First of all, it's just that point that in the concourses there's plenty of room to be socially distant, but when you've got your food, the chances are you're going to sit on those steps. And I was lucky enough to see people that I know, and they were the only people I did know. 3 people out of all that lot. It's pretty rare to get a ticket really at that stage. And it's difficult then to be that distant. And of course, you're not wearing a mask. But all I'd say is that people that are very, very cautious about this, well, don't have your alcohol, take a non-alcoholic drink and food and sit in the stadium and hope it's not as cold as it was. So you can get around that one, really. Yes, I mean, there's plenty of room people were generally standing, and there was good social distance between. I would think 1 or 2 people might well have stood in a different seat. The code of conduct did say you should only sit in your own seat and not go to another place. But if you did, I would think you could easily shuffle along. I don't think it was a problem. I didn't notice anybody do that, and I didn't notice any stewards having to ask people to. Half time, that idea, you don't face people, you turn away, etiquette about, movement. It was easy to maintain. I had my food before the game, but I would say, I went to the toilet, I was the only person in there. So there were no problems at all.
And I think one of the things is our stadium. I mean, there can't be a stadium that's better designed for COVID issues, can it? I mean, things like the toilets, there's no outside door.
No, well, I don't know.
So once you've washed your hands and things.
At the back of the stand. Exactly. Anyway, no, you're dead right. There is a lot of room.
That must be a first, though, Kev, to be in a football stadium, a Premier League football stadium, and be the only person in the gents. Yeah. I can't imagine that's ever happened before.
No smoking going on.
Kev, what were the staffing levels like for the catering wise, and also for I guess for stewarding?
What were the levels? Levels of
staffing levels, really. I mean, how did it feel for you? Did it feel like proportionally the same that would be on a match day, or more or less?
Yeah, I would say definitely proportionally, probably more, I would think. I did feel that when I was queuing at the Beavertown Long Bar, that they could have done with a couple more people there, but I'm being a bit fussy, I mean. but generally I would say more. Yeah.
And what happened after the game? Obviously we know normal procedure is you stay as long, not you personally, Kev, but sometimes if we've beaten Arsenal again, we stay as long as possible. Obviously, that wasn't an option, I guess. So what's the procedure for leaving the stadium?
Yeah, well, the information that came with the ticket did say that people should not rush away. That when they go into gangways, they should make sure the gangways are clear and that they're not rubbing up against people or breathing near them and so on. And that they should. I assumed it meant staggering the way out. But what I felt, and I noticed someone on the forum said the same thing, it didn't seem necessary. One seemed to just get up and walk out. And it was very calm. It was very easy. I mean, I was back at my car. I was back home within about 3/4 of an hour of the match. And that worked very, very easily, very smoothly. Yeah.
Thanks, Kev. Right. Sorry if you heard a dog barking just then. It's my German Shepherd's been trained to bark when he hears the word Arsenal. So.
It's a bit like Eric Morecambe.
Kevin, even with just 2,000 fans, I have to say the atmosphere, and Martin Tyler mentioned it, didn't he? He said the fans sound incredible. Just with 2,000 in there, and I know we've got the incredible acoustics within the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but it sounded more like it was 20,000. What did it sound like when you were in there?
Yeah, no, Well, obviously, when I came home and I watched Match of the Day, I could really appreciate it, and I'd seen everyone like you all talking about the sound, but I did feel it at the time, and I also felt this desire to join in. I was on my own, for God's sake, and yet I did really feel that desire to join in, and I think everybody was. It's that thing again. 9 months. We've got it all this inside us. 9 months of it. But of course, we are out of practice. And when I got home, well, the next morning, my voice sounded a bit like Sean Dyche. And I had a sore throat. I'm glad to say it wasn't COVID. It was just, I used to be a university lecturer. And, when you came back in the first bit of the new semester or something, after an hour's long lecture, you start getting a bit hoarse.
Yeah.
It was like that because I think it was out of practice. But I also think there was something about saying, no, I'm going to give it something today.
Yeah.
That's been diagnosed before, hasn't it, as North London derby throat? I think, the Monday morning after a game, you've got the sore throat, you can just about talk. It's absolutely fantastic.
Can I ask a last question, Kevin? So, being a superstitious person, I'm wondering whether there should be some sort of petition to get those 2,000 people in the stadium until we lose a game, basically. I just wondered how you felt about that.
You do realise, of course, it means that only one trust member is going to actually see a match.
Well, there we go.
It's a no from me.
I said I don't believe in superstitions.
Oh, I do.
say that because it's my superstition.
The older I get, the more superstitions I'm picking up. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even my kids are giving me strange looks these days, and I even start putting the mugs in a certain way in the cupboard. It's particularly on North London Derby Day. Madness. Look, Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. It's been brilliant to hear about your experience, and as Rachel said, we're all incredibly jealous. But given what people have said on social media, I think the whole day just seemed to be a success, and the fans really enjoyed it. Obviously, we really enjoyed it because of the results, and all we can say is, hats off to you for applying and being selected and being there and enjoying the occasion, and for having a sore throat on Monday morning, which is what it's all about on North London Derby Day. Thanks also to Rachel, Anthem, Rob once again for joining us on our second podcast. Or video, depends on how you're watching or listening to us. We will be back with our third edition of THST Official shortly. As we said at the end of our first edition, if you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to email us at info@THSTofficial.com. But all that's left is for us to say thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Mike.